Working on the Kids' Choice Awards was also a very big childhood dream. I got to go to the Kids' Choice
Hey,
Awards. You can't argue with that. And
no, not at all.
it was so cool. I wore like this bright orange jacket.
Hi, Ayana. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so glad that you were able to come and talk to me today and share your journey.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. And what I love about this Zoom platform is that I can connect with persons all over the world. So, Ayana, what part of the world are you now?
I'm in Los Angeles, California.
Yes, I love that. And so, Ayana, I know that now you are a graphic artist for a company that we all know and love. But before we get into your career aspect, I want to go more into how did you discover your passion for graphics? So I want you to share with me that journey.
Well, it goes honestly just way back. Growing up, I always just, where do I begin with this? I just always had a pencil in my hand. I was always drawing pictures. Teachers always found me frustrating because I was just doodling in the margins all the time. And all I cared about was cartoons. And I loved to draw. Like I would just, anything that was around me, I would learn to draw it. And it was just what I cared about most. And it made me happy. And it was just a great way to get to know myself growing up. And a couple of friends and I, like it was very unusual to be that interested in cartoons as a kid, but you know, during recess, all the other kids would be running around and going on the swings and stuff, and my friends and I would be sitting in the corner drawing, and then we would kind of look at each other's work and you know, give each other little critiques or like advice, and it was very constructive and very fun, and that always kind of just attracted me to, wow, I really want to do this all the time. And then I was watching, I think it might have been Toy Story, and as like a, you know, 7 or 8-year-old kid watching Toy Story for the 100th time, I was looking through the credits and I was like, so many people worked on this. And that was like my aha moment where I realized people actually do this for work. Like this is their job. And I think like a light bulb went off and I was like, I really want to do this as a career. I want to work in animation. So from the time I was a small kid to now, like that was always my goal. And you know, of course it wasn't a linear path, but it was always the goal. Like, I want to do that so badly. I'm going to do it. And that's when I chose to make that my life. So that's where it all began.
I love that. So it started from a young age. So tell me about moving into university. So what did you choose to major in?
I went to RIT in Rochester, New York, and that's the Rochester Institute of Technology. So they're mostly an engineering college and computer science and a lot of math, but they have this art college, and there is a specific program called the School of Film and Animation. So that's where I chose to go, all the way up in Rochester, New York, where it's absolutely freezing cold.
Wow.
4 years there working on animation. And within that major, you could choose the live action or motion picture science, which is more of like I don't even really know what that means. Like it's way beyond my comprehension. And then there's animation. And within that, you could choose, you know, 2D drawing animation, stop motion, puppets, or 3D. And so I kind of was very curious about all three, but I mostly did 2D and 3D animation. So I kind of got a really well-rounded experience there.
Nice. And so moving from university, now it's time to turn all that you've studied into practical application. So how was it finding your first job?
This was actually a crazy, very unexpected twist. So I had an internship lined up at Disney actually from December of that year. And I was like, oh, I'm good. I have an internship. It's gonna be great. And I was gonna move to LA. At least that was what I thought was gonna happen. And then in March of that year, I had a couple months till graduation and I was finishing up my thesis film. And then I got an email from an alum who was working at Nickelodeon in New York. And she said, hey, our team is looking for new animators. Like, we want to see your stuff. And not thinking anything of it, I was like, yeah, go for it. And then I sent my work, which was unfinished. I I just didn't think I was going to hear back at all. And it turns out they wanted to hire me for a 4-week contract.
Wow.
So it was that was tough because it was like I was choosing between two very different lifestyles when I graduated. And I'd been in New York my whole life, and a part of me was excited about moving to LA,
Yeah.
but you know, it was a job versus an internship. So I went with the job at Nickelodeon, and the 4 weeks turned into about 2.5 years of work.
Wow. Well, and this all happened right after you graduated?
This was right before I graduated. So I graduated with a job lined up. And I was very fortunate. And this alum who reached out to me I'm so grateful still to this day for her reaching out and making that a possibility for me.
Wow.
I got very lucky.
Very, very lucky. That's amazing, Ilana. And so now I heard that you mentioned that you had an internship that you were going to pursue at Disney, but that did not work out and you went with Nickelodeon instead. But now you work for Disney.
I think it's so funny how it all worked out. Like things are so.
Now you work for the Walt Disney Company, which is where you initially wanted to be. But as you shared with me previously, that was not necessarily the case all along, because you did apply for Disney before. So share with me that story briefly.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm trying to think back. I was on a trip with my family in San Diego, and wow, this kind of, it's all coming back to me now. A family friend of mine was I guess the vice president of marketing for the feature films. And he said, hey, if you're in LA, let's do like, I'll give you a tour. We can talk about, you know, opportunities for you and if there's anything here for you. So I think it's funny because I work in marketing now, but on the television side, and he worked on the feature side. So I was with my family in San Diego. My dad's like, okay, let's go to LA. So we drove 2.5 hours to LA for the day. And I had this amazing experience touring the feature film studio. And I, you know, as a young college student about to graduate, I was just very excited at the prospect of like, you know, working in marketing, working in feature, and overall just working at Disney. I was like, this is where I need to be. This is so cool. And yeah, his name's John Sable, and he's awesome. And he's worked at the company for many years. And he said, like, you know, he gave me some very good advice. He said, you know, you're doing the right thing. You're on the right path. Just be you. Like, do what you're already doing. You know, one day you're going to get out here and you're going to know where you want to go and you're going to get to where you want to get to. Just don't stop. And that advice always stuck with me because I haven't stopped. I plan on stopping. So I found that very, very useful. I got a lot out of that day and out of that tour. And even if the internship didn't pan out like I had hoped, and you know, I pursued a different opportunity, it still led me to where I wanted to go. So he was absolutely right.
That's good, Ilana. So you landed your job at Nickelodeon and you're working there. What was that experience like working for Nickelodeon?
It was honestly a childhood dream of mine to work there. I grew up watching all those cartoons, Rugrats, Doug, Hey Arnold.
Yeah.
And I actually got to work on the Hey Arnold Jungle movie, which came out in 2018. So when I got to work on that project, it just meant so much to me because I had grown up watching that show and wishing I could work on something like that. So to work on a movie like that was really an amazing experience. But overall, working at that company, it really taught me a lot. I worked in mostly on-air promotions, so a lot of coming up next on Nick, a lot of those 5-second bumpers that you see with the Nick logo and all the cool graphics.
Yes.
That was the team I worked on, and there is such talent going on that team, and I really respect each and every one of them. They're incredible, and working on the Kids' Choice Awards was also a very big childhood dream. I got to go to the Kids' Choice Awards. You can't argue with that, and it was
no, not at all.
It was so cool. I wore like this bright orange jacket.
Like, I'm here.
So that was really fun. And it was, there's such great people there and the talent is just unbelievable. So I learned a lot from the experience.
Did you have to pinch yourself every day? Like, am I really here?
That's kind of how I felt. And it was really a valuable, you know, time in my life.
Yes. So how long did you end up staying at Nickelodeon?
let's see. So in the New York office, I was there for a little over 2 years,
Mhm.
and then I pursued Los Angeles. I had a couple of like freelance gigs that led me out here, and I left the job I'd committed to after college, and I said I have to get out west. I really want to be in LA, and that was very difficult to do, but I'm really glad I did it. So that ended up leading me back to the Nickelodeon Burbank office
Mhm.
for another, I think close to 2 years. So I think close to a little over 4 years I spent
Right.
my time there.
And then once you were finished working for Nickelodeon, what did you do next?
So they had a round of layoffs, which was very unfortunate.
Mhm.
And my entire department was shut down because it was only 5 people.
Wow.
Um, so that was very devastating for me. And that was one of the moments in my career where I couldn't process it for at least a few weeks. I was just like,
This can't be
my
happening.
time here is coming to an end and I don't want it to. And it was very sad for me, but it did lead me to other things, which I'm very grateful for. And while in the moment it was very devastating, I also learned a lot from it about the industry, that there are going to be times where it's not so glamorous and positive, and you kind of just have to roll with it. And it's just the nature of business. But my time there came to a natural end, and then I ended up pursuing other opportunities. I worked at Starburns Industries, where they worked on Rick and Morty, so that was really fun.
Oh, yes.
I worked there for like 6 months or so, and I kind of bounced around for a bit, and I worked on very interesting productions. And freelancing as a whole it was fun, but it was also a little stressful because you
Mhm.
really have to be your own advocate and, really go for those jobs. Like no one's going to hand you a gig
No.
there. So you have to apply yourself constantly. And
Mhm.
I remember before bed every night, I'd be like, okay, I'd be planning out like, what am I going to do? I have to send this email. I have to, contact this person. I was constantly thinking about work.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as balanced of a lifestyle, but I did learn a lot.
And so after freelancing, so you're finished with Nickelodeon, you did a couple of years of freelancing. What happened next?
Well, here's where it gets really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, right before I had accepted the offer at Nickelodeon, I had interviewed at a position at Disney, which is the job I have now. But I had interviewed there with, I think there were 5 art directors in the room, and it felt very like
Intimidating.
scary. And I was like, so many people here. Usually I interview one-on-one, kind
Yeah.
of similar to this, but this was like an entire room of people.
Mhm.
And I think the interview went very well, and I left feeling very good. And then I never heard back from the company, and I kind of was curious if I had done something wrong or anything like that. And then I had accepted the offer at Nickelodeon because a few months had gone by. Then I got a phone call from their HR office, and they said, "Hey, are you still interested in the job?" And I said, "I'm so sorry, I had already accepted another offer."
Mhm.
And they said, "No problem, we'll keep you in mind for any future opportunities." So they kept my
Hold
name on.
on. Hold on, Ayana.
Yeah.
Now you're turning down Disney.
Yeah, and it felt weird.
What?
I mean, I had already made a commitment to Nickelodeon. And I had just started there, and I was loving it, and it didn't feel like I could just, I don't
Leave
quit a job right after you accept it. And
that.
as much as it pained me, it was hard to say no. But I did what I had to do.
Mhm.
And they said, "We'll keep you in mind for future opportunities."
Mhm.
And that's exactly what happened. 3 years later, I had seen a job listing for the same exact job, the same job description.
Yeah.
And I shot an email to my contact there, and he said, "Oh, yeah, you'd be perfect for this." And then I interviewed again,
Mhm.
and it started out as a 6-week contract. And then it ended up being a full-time offer shortly after that. So since then, I have been at Disney, and I'm thrilled to be there.
That's amazing. Like, how many people do you know can say, "Yeah, I turned down Disney because I have to work for Nickelodeon"?
It was a very surreal moment for me. I was like,
Yes.
me?
Is this my life right now? No, but that's amazing. And what it shows is how hard work pays off. And it truly did not happen overnight. So I'll take the time to ask, based on everything that you've mentioned so far, and being let go from Nickelodeon and being offered a job with Disney and then working again for Nickelodeon. What is one major lesson or two major lessons that you learned from those experiences?
I learned that the work that you do when no one's looking, it does count. I know it's hard to see what goes on because when people post things on their social media of all the work they're doing and you see what other people are working on, it can make you feel like you're not working hard enough or there's not enough eyes on your work.
Yeah.
But the work that you do when you're by yourself and you're really focusing on your portfolio and you're putting in those hours, they do count more than anything because you're working on yourself, you're working on your craft. And just because people aren't looking at it now doesn't mean they won't look at it later. And that's probably the biggest takeaway. And just because something isn't working out now, it doesn't mean anything. It's gonna work out for you.
That's absolutely so true, Ayana. So thank you for sharing that piece of advice right there for us. But let's talk about Disney, okay? Let's talk about working for Disney. Anna, please tell me, what is that like? Because you mentioned that was really your childhood dream. That's where you wanted to do your internship, and now life has made a complete full circle, and you are working with the Walt Disney Company. How does that feel?
Honestly, I'm very blessed. Every day I just kind of wake up with gratitude that I get to work here. And not just the fact that I work for this amazing company, but the people that I work with are just amazing. They're so talented and they're smart and they're kind, they're thoughtful, and they're just very pleasant to work with. They make the experience very positive for me. And you don't find that everywhere. I just find that the people at Disney are just they care so much about the work and they care about you as a person. And that makes the huge difference in the work culture, the experience, everything.
That's good. So I want to also share with my listeners and viewers some work that Ayana has done over time. So I'm going to take the time up to highlight some work Ayana has done. So Ayana has created content for Katy Perry. She has done 3D visuals and animations for Jumanji 27 movie trailer. She has done animation for the Loud House show on Nickelodeon, which is my 10-year-old brother's fan favorite.
Oh my God.
Yes, and she has done lyric video animation for Kendrick Lamar. So Ayana is a big deal, everyone. She's really out here working very hard. And Ayana, you have done so many other projects. But of all the projects, would you say that you have any favorites?
I will say the Katy Perry job was one of those moments where I really felt like I was watching my life from an outsider's perspective.
Really?
I was like, is this happening right now? Is this really going on? Mm-hmm. That's a crazy story too, because I had a friend from high school, his name's Phil Rosenberg. He reached out to me and said, hey, I have this client who needs someone to come over tonight and work on something for 8 hours. And it was a Sunday night and I had work the next day. Mm-hmm. I said, this sounds interesting, but I want to know more. So I had to sign an before even knowing who the client was. And he said, Katy Perry, like, we need an artist. We had someone drop out at the last minute and she was doing a 72-hour live stream with no breaks. So I was going to be doing the overnight shift basically while she was asleep in the other room, which sounds bizarre. And I said, let's do it. So now I was asking the question, what am I going to wear to Katy Perry's house? Like, what am I going to do? So I pick out something. I'm like, okay, I'm going to wear this dress with this jacket. And I hope I look really cool. Yeah. And then I called an Uber to take me there because it was in downtown Los Angeles. And I didn't feel comfortable driving there by myself. The call time was like 12 a.m. So it was technically Monday morning. And I was like, okay, I don't know where I'm going. This sounds weird. I have to go to this movie theater exterior. Like I had no idea where I was. And they sent me the address like an hour before I got there. So it was very strange. So I get in this Uber and it's like an old van. I'm like, I'm getting in this old van going to downtown Los Angeles. So I'm there there, and there's someone's outside waiting for me. So, are you Ilana? I said, yes. And he gives me this talent bracelet. So then I'm the talent that's arriving at Katy Perry's house. So he's walking me through, and then we end up in this very glamorous house. And it's beautiful on the inside. Everything's decked out with all her latest album art, and it's gorgeous. And I'm just kind of mesmerized at where I am and what time of night it is. And like, how am I going to get to work the next day? I'm going to be exhausted. But I'm so
excited. Thinking about that right now. Like, I'm doing work for Katy Perry.
This is so cool. And then I had my own trailer to like hang out in while I waited for Katy Perry to be done with her last interview. And I was sitting in that trailer just thinking about my life. I'm like, how did I get here? This is
yes.
And I get on camera, and they said, just draw, draw whatever inspires you around here. Just draw stuff that, anything that has to do with this album, just go for it. We're going to be filming you for 8 hours. And I said, okay. And
8 hours straight.
I had a couple breaks, to grab a cup of coffee or grab some water or whatever. But it was basically just straight through. And around 6 in the morning, I started to crash a little bit. And I was like, okay, you can do it. A couple more hours, then you're going to go to work. It's going to be a great day. But I went to your YouTube channel. And then around 4 in the morning, Los Angeles time, it was about 7 a.m. in New York. And my aunt was watching Good Morning America, Today's Show. And they said, let's see what Katy Perry's doing. So they tune into the live stream, and it's me on camera. I ended up on the Today Show. And my aunt was like,
yes.
She sends me a picture of me on TV. And I had no idea. I was like, what? This doesn't make any sense. But I was on the Today Show completely by accident, and everyone saw it, and they thought it was so cool, and I felt so cool. I was like, wow, this is why I worked really hard, and
yes.
It was one of the strangest and best jobs I've ever had, and everyone was so nice and so supportive, and Katy Perry was great, and her dog's really cute. Her dog was like running around, and it was just, I felt so thrilled just to be there.
Yeah, but what it also teaches is that sometimes, even though an opportunity might sound crazy, go for it, because you did have work in the morning. The hours that you'd have to work were a little off, and you didn't know where you were going and all of that, and you could have easily said no. You could have easily said, I'm not sure, I don't think so, but you took it, and you were able to now work for Katy Perry, and you were featured on the Good Morning America show. So it really does show to take these opportunities when they come.
Yeah, sometimes like you're not sure if you should do it. I say go for it. Even if it sounds crazy.
Even if it sounds crazy. So Ilana, after everything that you have been through, after your entire story, of course, you shared that it wasn't easy. It definitely didn't happen overnight. What would you tell what is one thing that you would share with an upcoming creator who's about to embark on their own creative journey?
There are a lot of things I want to say, but if I could narrow it down to one thing, and it sounds a lot simpler than, it is, but just don't stop. Like as discouraging and scary as it might be when you're starting out, just keep going, because, if it's not happening now, it's going to happen later. If it doesn't happen later, just give it time. Give it all you've got. Keep practicing on your own. And just know it's going to work out for you. Just because it's not happening now doesn't mean it won't happen, and keep working on your own art, keep working, and be inspired by what other people are doing. Follow your favorite artists on Instagram and see what they're doing, and, be inspired by those around you. And anyone who says you can't do it is lying. Like, they're just jealous that you're pursuing your dream. And that's awesome. It's going to happen for you. Just keep going.
That's good. Thank you so much for that piece of advice, Ilana. And one thing that I love that you mentioned earlier is keep working hard, even if you feel as though no one is watching. And I think that's for a lot of young adults. We're in the social media era where if you don't have a million likes or followers or comments, subscribers, shares, you feel as if you're not good enough or no one is watching. But for you, it was so much different. You still worked hard, put your content out there, and you were still able to be found and recognized. And perhaps before you weren't the biggest thing on the scene, right? You started small and you worked your way up there. And I really appreciate that piece of advice that you shared right there.
Yeah, because anyone who looks like an overnight success has been working probably forever on what they're doing. They just don't show it.
Yeah. Well, one thing Beyonce will always say is that I've been doing this since I'm 12. So people want to be Beyonce overnight, but she was doing this from she was 12. So definitely. Diana, you're now working for Disney and you're still doing a little bit of freelancing, but what do you have anything in mind for what's next for Ayana? What do you see yourself doing in the near future?
So during quarantine, I've been discovering TikTok, which is hilarious and great and positive. It's such a supportive community. And I've been on TikTok, you could take audio that's on the app that people, someone talks about something, you can take that audio and you could use it for your own, whether it's you want to recreate a funny video, or in my case, I will download the audio and then animate characters with that same audio. So I've been working on that for a few months now, and I've been having a really fun time with it and just doing my own characters with these really funny voices. And I've been seeing a lot more engagement with my work recently. So I think that's a great platform to look into. And I know a lot of people are using it, and a lot of us are still working from home, and if you need a break, just scroll TikTok. So if my work happens to come up on the For You page, that I want to make people laugh. Like, I want to make people's day better. So I've been doing a lot of that, and that's a lot of work that nobody sees me do. Like, because you see a 30-second animation, you think, oh, that didn't take that long.
Yeah,
that's at least a couple weeks of work for me. So
really?
Yeah, it's a lot. I do everything frame by frame. So I do everything 24 frames per second divided by 2.
Wow.
Yeah, 12 frames per second for these personal projects. So it's a lot of pictures. But I do it for myself, and one of the most rewarding things is drawing all these pictures and then pressing play and watching your work play back. And if I'm smiling when my own work is playing back, I'm like, this is fun, this is good.
And you're doing that while you still have work for your actual company.
Yeah, like, this is just for myself, and if other people happen to love it, great.
Yeah, that's how you know when you're passionate about something, when your work doesn't really feel like work, right? And something you shared with me is that you wake up every morning and you're actually excited to go to work, right? Which is not something I hear very often.
Yeah, I love it. It's, the work's fun. I get to do really cool projects, and I get to see what's going to go on TV before anyone else. So that's really cool. And the people I work with are just so nice and talented. They've been nothing but good to me.
I love that. Diana, I really want to thank you so much for sharing today with us your journey. And I do know for sure that it will inspire our listeners and viewers today and our upcoming creators, and that they can dream big, because, this may be a cliche question, but did you ever see yourself where you are today, previously?
I always hoped that I would, get to where I am right now. Growing up, I guess I questioned more when I was younger, is this possible for me? Is this realistic? Because when you're in school, they kind of math, science, English, what they want you to just stay in that box, because that's what, those are probably more practical career paths. I chose a very impractical one. So a lot of the times I questioned, is this realistic? And then in college, it became more like solidified, like, oh, I'm making the decision to major in this. I'm choosing to be here. And at any cost, I'm going to get an animation job, even if it's not glamorous, even if it's, I'm gonna make it happen. So growing up, it wasn't as much of like, I wasn't as confident in the choice until I made the decision to major in it. And then it slowly started becoming more real and real. And when I graduated, I said, wow, I'm doing this now.
Yeah.
But it takes time to really believe in it, I think.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just so happy that you were able to you were able to turn your passion into a career. And it's working out so wonderfully for you. And I'm really happy for you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And every day, like if I'm working on something and it's just, if I'm animating for myself, if I'm animating for work, and sometimes I'll just pause and be like, I get to do this this is so cool. Like, and I feel very blessed to be doing it.
Yes. So thank you so much again, Ayana, for sharing with us. Where can my viewers find you?
If you go to my website, I will send that to you if you want to post a link in the description. I will also give you my email if anyone wants to reach out just to say hi, or if you have any questions. My door is always open and I'm happy to help in any way I can.
And her Instagram is called Java Doodles. JavaDoodles. And you'll find her little doodles on there. And what she does is she has a link in her bio where you can submit your audio, and she will turn your audio into a doodle. So definitely check it out. And I really love those doodles. They're really cool.
They're my favorite thing to do right now.
You really? Yes. So I have a special question for you, and it's a question that is unique to my show, and I ask all my guests. And that question is, based on everything that you have been through with your own journey, if someone said to you today, Ayana, we're doing a movie on your journey, right? What would be the title?
I don't know.
This question gets every guest, okay? Everyone.
I'm actually like not sure. I've never had to think about this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
A title for the movie, my
Mm-hmm.
life, like my career.
Yeah, like your journey so far, growing up, and
Java Doodles, a journey in cartoons, animations, and life.
I love that. I love that. I love that, Ayana. So that's her title, Java Doodles. What did you say was the ending part again? A creation?
Yeah, I can't even remember. I came up with a journey through cartoons, animation, and life.
And life. I love that, Ayana. Thank you so much for sharing your title. So again, I just want to thank each and every person for tuning in today to this episode, for those who are listening and for those who are watching. Again, we thank Ayana for sharing her journey here. Feel free to reach out to her via her website or email or via her Instagram. And I just want to thank each and everyone again for listening and watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I'll definitely see you in the next episode. Thank you guys and take care.
Thank you.